So I'm doing okay with the car, and I'm
My name is Vinny, and this is a Toyota Innova ZX diesel. This one is a 7-seater. It's also available in an 8-seat configuration. I bought this car in the winter of 2017.
And how many kilometers would you have done on it?
I have done 17,000 kilometers. The interior, the exterior, the safety features have all been vastly improved with this generation. The last vehicle used mostly as a taxi because it was a good people mover, but it wasn't a very comfortable machine. It was a very utilitarian vehicle, meaning it was designed really just to do a job, which is move people. This one still has that purpose to move people, but it does so with style and a little bit more class.
What's the mileage of this car in the city and in the highway?
I drive this car mostly in the city. And overall, 90% of this car movement happens in the city. It gets around 9 kilometers per liter in the city, and maybe 13 to 14 on the highway.
In the power mode, does it drop dramatically?
In the power mode, it does, only under hard acceleration.
When you were in the market to buy, which all cars did you consider, and why did you reject them?
I considered the Ford Endeavor, the Tata Hexa, Hyundai Santa Fe, Toyota Innova. Again, all of those, my focus was safety, specifically the ISOFIX International Car Seat Standard. And at the end of the day, for overall price point and the trade-offs between price and features, this seemed like the most reliable, or the best choice. Also in terms of being able to resell it within a few years was important, and the other vehicles have a much smaller second-hand market than the Innova does. It's actually a very nice, comfortable car. In eco mode, the acceleration is smooth and gentle. It feels like you're being chauffeured in a much more premium vehicle than this is. Even though it's a large vehicle, it still feels like it is going to be able to respond to you immediately. This car was designed with a passenger in mind, not necessarily a driver. And so even though I had my phone plugged into that center console, I still had a separate remote. So I could just leave my phone sitting in the center console and use a remote to control the head unit, entertainment here, change the music, change the volume, or whatever else I chose to do, which was, again, I think a smart move by Toyota to design this as a passenger's car. 7 people with a baby in this car, and it works fine. There's plenty of room. The cooling, even in the middle of Rajasthan's heat, is perfectly capable of keeping the car very cool across the cabin. Air circulates well, especially in the 7-seat configuration. Allows even the folks in the third row room to stretch their legs a little bit.
The other thing that I wanted to know was in terms of the driving pleasure of the car.
This car is not designed to be nimble or to be maneuverable or to be sporty. I wouldn't say it's the most responsive steering wheels. It's linear, it's predictable. You know what it's going to do. It's boring in terms of how it responds, but I think, again, for the purpose of this car, a boring response is exactly what they should aim for.
What do you mean by boring?
It means that there's nothing specifically to say about it, that it'll do exactly what you want it to do, and it'll do it but in a comfortable manner. It won't toss you around the car, or it won't let you throw the car around like you could a sports car.
But would you be comfortable throwing this tall car around?
Oh, certainly not. No, the center of gravity is far too high. The suspension is not tuned for cornering.
How's the suspension of the car?
The suspension of the car is actually very generous. It's it handles delis, potholes, and speed bumps very well. Never had a situation where I felt it was too jarring or uncomfortable.
Even for the passengers in the third row?
The passengers in the third row might have a little bit bumpier ride, but it is still better than some of the other 3-row vehicles that I've test drove.
What about the braking of this car?
The braking is very linear. What I mean by that is, let's say the pedal moves from position 1 to position 10, and then the brake power is from 0 to 100%. When you move the brake pedal from 0 to 1, you'll get exactly 10% of your braking. When you move it from 1 to 2, you'll have a total 20% of your braking. So what this car does is it's a very linear, meaning position 1 gives you 10%, 2 gives you 20%, 3 gives you 30%, and so it's very predictable. You know exactly how much brake you're going to get every time you press that. The purpose of an Innova as a people mover is not to rapidly accelerate you like a sports car.
Let's come to your highway drive experience.
power mode is great for getting on the highway to accelerate and for cutting into a little opening in the road and traffic when you see it. The purpose of power mode is for immediate acceleration and deceleration needs, where you need to rapidly change, your speed. On a highway, unless you're drag racing somebody down the highway, you don't have that. You reach speed and then you turn cruise control on. If you're in power mode on the highway, you're doing something wrong. While you could maintain power mode on a highway, you're doing so, in my opinion, a not worthwhile trade-off to fuel efficiency.
How was the braking confidence on the highway and the overtaking part of it?
Overtaking, the car responds well to a full throttled acceleration, no issues. For braking, there could be some improvements in the braking. I feel like maybe the quality of the brake pads or the brake rotors may not be as good as it could be. So when you start braking under heavy pressure, you can feel the vehicle start to wobble a little bit. And so what that means is that the brake rotors and the brake pads aren't maintaining their rigidity and they're flexing under the pressure. And what that means is when that happens, the brake rotor itself starts bowing a little bit or starts oscillating a little bit or waving. That waving impacts the brakes, which impact the axle, which impact the frame of the vehicle, which at the end of the day for the passenger means a wobblier ride and lost braking power.
I'm going to ask you questions on rating of this car. So we start with comfort.
The middle seats are very comfortable. This is what the car was designed for. It's the middle row. Back seats are comfortable enough even for long drives. The front seat is also comfortable. It could benefit from some side bolsters. If you look at the sides of the driver's seat, you'll see that there's creases starting to form between me and the door. And what that means is that there's a lack of cushioning on the edges where the seat gets compressed and released the most often. This vehicle cost more than 20 lakhs. And so for this price point, I think Toyota could have afforded to put some higher quality materials, especially like in the armrest, which is this ratty fabric. Maybe a 3 to 3.5.
The next one is the driving comfort.
Altogether, considering what this vehicle is designed to do and how well it does what it's designed to do, I'd say maybe a 3.75.
The next one is the safety.
So safety is why I bought this car. This is one of the few cars in the Indian market which has the ISOFIX international standard for cars, child seats. So the center rows have a dedicated point on the seats that allows you to securely and easily, without any error, clip a car seat into the car and know that it's properly installed automatically every single time. All the models of this car have front airbags and also front driver knee airbag to make sure your knee isn't injured. Furthermore, ABS is also standard on this vehicle, traction control is, and a nice little seatbelt chime reminds you to be safe as well. Safety, I'd give it a 4. Even though it's such a good safety package, I don't feel like forcing the customer to pay extra for increased safety is something that should be done.
Next one is the build quality of the car.
Build quality, I'm happy with the steel panels. The interior quality of the plastics is cheap. So starting down here, you see it's a cheap hard plastic. There, it's a cheap hard plastic in the center console. The wood is fake plastic paneling. The dash is also fake. It's very hard, uncomfortable plastic. For this price point, you can easily find cars which have much nicer interior quality materials.
The number, please.
3.
The next one is the look and feel, the design and the styling of the car.
Design and styling of the car, it's very modern in the market here right now. Altogether, I'd give it maybe a 4. I think the Tata Hexa beats it out in styling in this class. All put together, 3.5.
Convince me to buy this car.
The reason I would buy this car over the Hexa was the overall safety of the car. I didn't feel like the Tata Hexa's airbag arrangement was as comprehensive, was as safe. Santa Fe was a fantastic option. It had all the bells and whistles, checked all my boxes, but the price was much higher than the Innova.
Would the same go for Fortuner?
It would, the exact same.
I'm buying the Innova. Convince me not to buy the Innova.
If you have any sense of spirit or adventure or any enthusiasm for driving, this is not the car for you. This is the passenger's car.
Thank you so much, Vinny. Thanks for your time.